In 3, 2, 1, go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the iRacing Today radio show for today, which is June the 26th, 2014. My name is Trevor Cameron. I am welcoming you to the show, and hopefully, if I've hit all the right buttons, then the video portion should be a little bit different, have the actual music in there. I've been playing with some stuff, and hopefully, when Chad starts talking, you'll hear him too. So, Chad, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Excellent! Things seem to be working out great and wonderful now. I am so happy because there were so many buttons I had to press and not forget to hit the wrong ones. I'm happy. I'm in a good place.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Yes? Wait, what was the question? I'm sorry.
I asked you if you could hear me now, just like that guy in the Verizon commercial.
Oh.
And then the other person says yes, and then I was going to say good. Way to blow it, Trevor.
I don't want to do it
over again. Start the show.
No, I did it all right. I had all the right buttons. I'm not starting this over again. So,
okay.
So this is, of course, the iRacing Today radio show, and we welcome you all in, and we are glad that you've come in to join us here. We've got a good show for you guys. We got an interview here that we got set up the other night. I'm not sure. I'm hoping my voice holds out for the entire show. I've been sick all week, so I'm not doing too bad. I'm on some good Dayquil here. I didn't accidentally take the NyQuil, so I'm not going to just doze off in the middle of the show here. So, well, I may, just it won't be drug related, I guess, which sounds horrible and bad, but
yeah, that kind of scares me.
So we've got
You're supposed to be a family man.
I am. NyQuil, man. That's it. That's the most drugs that enter this temple, I guess. Well, Advil and Aleve, I guess that counts. But we've got our In the News segment here, which is the latest news from iRacing, and of course our show. We've got myself and Chad's latest racing experiences on the simulator. Mine actually involved the simulator and not rental cars like it did for a while there. We've got an interview with our fellow teammate, Andy Small, and of course also iRacer. He's going to talk a little bit about a mod that he did on his pedals on his G27 and a little bit about sim racing, and I think he throws in a rookie tip too. So he's trying to take over my job, I guess, but
Yeah, he was. So better not doze off in the middle of the show there, because I'll be calling Andy up.
You got him on the bat phone. All right, yeah, Andy,
I got him on speed dial. Man down.
Man.
Back up.
Now's your chance. Go.
Yeah. It's now or never.
Well, actually, ironically, it's kind of a situation not quite like that that ended up getting me into podcasting. When I first did the first podcast that was ever on was called Nobody's Listening. It was a comedy podcast, and James Kinnison, who's the host of it, he was doing it with his brother, and his brother was not available, so he just kind of put out a call. It's like, hey, any listeners want to help me out with this? And we got in contact. I didn't end up on that that night because everything wasn't set up, but that's how I kind of ended up in that rotation and ended up co-hosting that for quite some time. So that's Andy. That's how this happens, man. You just wait for your opportunity, you jump, and all of a sudden it becomes a hobby you do for years and years and years, and make no money on it. Spend all kinds of money on equipment and stuff. It's cool.
Oh yeah, best job ever.
Indeed. But let's transition into our show before. Did you did you
I
see
had to.
the comments that he made as well? I think he included you on him on Twitter, where he actually called out when we talked about that on the show last week. Was instead of saying so anywhere, anyways, it was like, you know what? So I'm done with you now. So
Yeah.
let's move on.
I done with you. Let go. So yeah. How about we knock out the in the news segment? And there's a couple of news items that popped up today.
Okay, but I have to do the bit. I mean, come
Yeah,
on, let's not get
I,
into the news here.
I was trying to transition you into that.
All right, so here is our In the News segment, which is presented by iRacerStuff.com. iRacerStuff.com is a website dedicated to the iRacing motorsports simulation. They post things that they find interesting or that may be useful to the iRacing community. Check them out today at iRacerStuff.com.
Bravo. Don't forget to vote on our latest poll question, which is, of course, on our website. And that poll question is on iRacing, do you use voice chat, text chat, neither/neither, or both? Our current poll question expires this coming Monday, June the 30th, so you've only got a few more days left to vote. So we're both looking at you, if you have it.
Wait, I'm looking.
I was
Okay, I
looking.
got to talk in order to. There. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, I have to talk. So, yep.
Sorry, I forgot. Head on over to our website, which is iRacingTodayRadio.com, in case you didn't know, provided, of course, it is safe to do so. And vote in that poll question and let your voice be heard so that we can chat about it on next week's show and tell you what we use and why.
Indeed. Also, don't forget about your chance to win a VIP NASCAR experience. iRacers can support fellow iRacer and Sprint Cup Series driver Josh Wise. And we've gone through the details of this over last several weeks, so
Yes.
you can, of course, check out all the details on the iRacer members website press page. I won't go over them again because that's just
Yeah.
filler. It's like you play a video game, and it's like, well, there's only like 4 hours of actual experience, but they pad it out to 12 hours, but just doing the same stuff over and over again, just like say it's a longer game. That's not what our show's all about. So I'm not going to go. I'm not going to do that. Also, I didn't bring up the press page beforehand, so I couldn't do it if I wanted to.
Well, I could, but it is on the press page. And we told you guys what it is. If you don't know what's going on, listen to last week's show, and then you can find out. Now, another thing we've been talking about is, of course, the iRacing Today radio show fun races.
Be fun!
Second one, yeah. Second one that we're going to do. Of course, send us your thoughts about car and track combos, which so far, the ones that we talked about on the show seem to be popular, I guess, amongst the people that have spoken. So thank you for that also. But also, if you're totally against doing the Spec Racer Ford at Okayama or the Street Stock at the Big Charlotte, then please tell us in a nice, caring, respectable way.
You know you're on video, right? As you're picking at your fingernails or whatever it is you're doing over there, man.
I was picking. There's some kind of lint in my hair on my finger, so yeah, I need to clear that out. But yes, I know I'm on video, but I'm comfortable. So, anyways, hopefully we'll knock those out soon, and hopefully they will be just as fun as the first ones were, because like we talked about on that one show there. I guess it would have been middle of November. We did have a blast in the first fundraisers, so hopefully some newer folks will get to come out for this one, and some of the guys that were there last time will get to come out again as well, and we'll have some fun racing, hopefully on the track and not in hayfields. Cough, Trevor.
Hey, I'm getting better at that road racing thing, man. I mean, I'm spending way less time in the gravel traps. I mean,
Yeah.
again, the Spec Racer Ford isn't my, the greatest forte, but I did find that when I went back to it, I wasn't too bad at it, so I think I'll be okay-ish.
Yeah. So anyways, let us know. I said it again. So let us know.
You did. We're gonna have to like a little. I'm gonna have to figure out a video tool so that during the video I can just have a little counter up in the corner that goes,
Yep.
ding, ding, ding.
So anyways, 12 times, and people could start betting on how many times I'm going to say it. But please do let us know what night that you might want to race and what car track combo you would like to see, both road and oval, because we're doing both, to hopefully satisfy everyone's needs and wants and desires.
Well, I mean, I think we've got a pretty good feel for the car, like you were saying, and the car and track combos and stuff, and we've got a couple ideas for what would fit best for everybody. So I don't know, maybe we can make the poll question on the website to narrow it down, give a couple options maybe, and see what people think. I don't know, just thinking out loud. I mean, this is a show notes behind the scenes sort of thing, but man, we'll just do it live. What do you think?
Sure.
Yay!
Why not?
I'm participating.
Yay, Trevor is actually working for once in his life. No. Yeah, there we go.
So, moving right along, which is different than saying
But
so
that's what you
anyways.
say all the time, so we could have a little ding thing in the corner too for you.
As we've reminded you
As
guys
you
the
start
last little
dying.
bit, hey, it could happen anytime. Derek Spear Designs has a contest going on there where you can win a set of DSD pedals. DSD is proud to give away a set of their professional grade sim racing pedals to a lucky winner on July the 4th, 2014. The winner's name will be announced at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and everyone from every part of the globe, but not Mars, is eligible to win. To enter, you will need to hit up the DSD site.
How is Mars a part of the globe?
I'm saying not Mars. I said people from Mars are not eligible.
Why is that even tossed in there? It's not in the globe.
I just want to make sure that they understand it's only people from the planet Earth. That's all.
Okay. So all of our alien friends that are listening again, illegally, because of the satellites and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, heck, I'm pretty sure that I'm actually, with all the rules that go on, I'm not actually allowed to listen to your voice from the States up here in Canada, because just about everything else is blocked across the border. So I'm pretty sure seeing video of you is actually illegal. So we're pirates, I think, is what I've come to believe here.
Wow. Arg.
Is that a pirate dying?
Okay, see, we thought of something new. Somebody said something about snakes and dolls. What will you think of next? There you go, pirates.
Pirates. I like pirates. Pirates are cool.
I do too. Pirates
Assassin's
of the
Creed
Caribbean
4
is
was all
probably my
about
favorite movie.
movie. Well, yeah. I always thought I could make
mine.
I always thought I could make a good Jack Sparrow. I mean, if I did the thing.
No.
I don't do the accent now, but I can learn it. I'm good.
Nope.
All right. Okay. It's the
Go back
beard.
to the show notes.
Yeah. Okay. So, as I was saying, to enter, you will need to hit up the DSD site and submit your name via the form. You'll receive an email confirmation when you've submitted your name. Link is going to be in the show notes, of course. I will put that up there. And that's exactly what you wrote there. It says, link for show notes here. So what I'm supposed to say is...
Wait, you weren't supposed to read that.
Show notes.
Good job.
Hey.
We're professionals here. Now, this afternoon, a couple of big news items popped up that we're going to cover here. First of all, we're going to cover the fact that we talked about this, I think, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, that iRacing is getting very close to releasing the new nationwide Class B series on the oval. Camaro. Of course, we have the Mustang already. Now we just need the Camry. I'm looking at you, iRacing. But anyways, so the Camaro, I about said the Camry. The Camaro, a screenshot was released today, and all that was put there is that the car is coming soon in all capital letters. So they haven't officially said when the car is coming, but I can tell you that once a car or a track gets a photo or a screenshot, I guess, it's very close. It's closer than any other time, obviously. So I don't think it'll be too much longer until we get this.
I was looking at the screenshot here. I mean, my preference is the Mustang. I just like the front end of it more. But I mean, it looks like a good representation of the Camaro. But a question though, is that because that looks like something you could make using the iRacing, just the normal paint shop, like not using what do you call it, trading paints, just using their website stuff. but you notice it actually has the driver's name over the door.
That is a custom paint scheme. Somebody already asked that question,
Okay, I didn't
and
actually go through the whole forum thread.
well, it was like the fifth one down. I forget who responded, but it was an iRacing staff member that just said it was a custom scheme. So sorry.
Oh, I thought it was one of those secret things where they just kind
Yeah,
of add something in there, and it's like, oh, by the way,
we're
haha.
giving you the driver name, which that should have already been on there when the sim opened. But anyways, just a little pet
Uh,
peeve I have.
Man, every time I'm looking at myself in the video there, I remember Scott Feldhausen, one of the listeners who's always talking to us on Twitter and whatnot. He resent me that whole Ricky Bobby thing about I have no idea what to do with my hands. Like I'm just watching myself and I can see my hands come up into the screen. So the show's really good, and
I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with my hands right now.
just put them by your side.
You can just put them down. But
Okay.
I feel like I should hold them up here for some reason because I want people to be able to see my hands.
So anyway, it does look pretty. I'll tell you that. I mean, but the front end of the Mustang still looks nicer. Which that's just me.
Yeah, it is.
Also hitting the news in there was the fact
This is a
that
bigger deal.
the 2014 iRacing Indy 500 has been rescheduled.
Woo!
So they said they were going to, and once they got everything worked out, and I think that's what everybody wanted. Nobody wanted them to go. I don't know. Everybody hates us. Here's a new Indy 500. Oh no, that that fell over too. Oh no. So they said they're going to wait until everything got fixed, and they think everything's been fixed now. So they're going to reschedule it. Excuse me. What it says basically is, in reading right from the page, it says, while we are confident we have addressed the issue that caused our web problems during the initial running of the 2014 Indy 500, we will still be using this event as a test. All participants, anyone who registers for any of the races, will receive the iTested award. In case you're not aware, iRacing has kind of an achievement system built in where you do certain things in the sim and you get a little badge, a little icon kind of thing on your profile type thing. So that's one of them is you only get the iTested award when you participate in some sort of beta testing or something that they set up as a test and you go in and participate. So this will count as one of those, which I don't actually have that yet. So that's one reason to do it. Well, I don't. And they go on and explain about when you're going to get the award and stuff like that. So what are the details on when these races are going to actually happen there, Chad?
Well, Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on July the 18th will be the first race, and I noticed that they bumped it up an hour because the first race was supposed to be at 9 o'clock Eastern. And then, of course, they'll do one on Saturday, July the 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, they're going to split it with, excuse me, the C oval license holders to up to, whoops, as I rip out my head.
Well, what are you doing? You have no idea what to do with your hands.
I just ripped out my earbud. The C class all the way up to Pro will be in their own little race, and then D and Rookie will be in their own little race. And they both start at the same time both days. So that's when the races are happening, and I don't have anything scheduled yet for those days, so I guess I'll just have to schedule me an Indy 500.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do because bumping that time back for Friday, making that Friday at 6 o'clock my time makes that real challenging to make. 7 o'clock was bad enough. 6 o'clock is going to be quite a tight fit. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the Friday, so I might have to arrange something with the wife to make
I'll call in
Saturday afternoon.
that day.
Yeah. But I've already been sick.
You can be sick again. People get sick all the time.
I've been real sick for the last 2 days. I can't be fake sick now. So.
Yeah, but I'll probably be in the Friday night one more than likely. Something could change, and I might have to do the one on Saturday. But at this exact moment, I'm claiming that I'll, be in the Friday one.
Okay. Well, and I'm going to be determined. The
TBA.
18th. Something tells me that something's happening in the house on the 18th. I'll have to check my calendar upstairs to see what's going on. But so anyway, oh boy,
Oh, now
see,
you're doing it.
now I'm doing it. You're contagious. Great.
Now, you had a cool email to share with everybody, didn't you?
I did. Listener from over in the UK, Chris Bourne, gave us a message basically saying that since Scott Feldhausen had responded to the challenge and made some cars, he decided to
Made some
use.
cars. I think he made all cars.
Well, he made all the cars. He went through all the cars for him, and then he started making ones that were specific for the show. I mean, his cars had our stuff on it, but
Yeah.
see, then he went and made some specifically for the show and made them available on Trading Paints in the showroom. That's what I meant.
Mhm. Yeah.
He made a
That's
lot of
cool.
cars.
I don't know how many cars there are, but he made them all.
So he actually decided to use it, and I don't know if he was in a. I mean, did you watch the video? I can't remember if he was in a Ford or a Chevy, or actually we even have a Toyota for that because it was a Carb Cup race that he was
I think
talking
it's
about
just a
as
Ford
well.
and a Chevy.
Ah. Actually,
I don't
wasn't the
know.
first one he made was a Toyota? I think.
I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
remember.
Well, anyway,
Sorry.
racing a iRacing Today radio car that was made by Scott. He almost got it. Our first win. Well, the first win for that particular car, I guess, is in a Carb Cup race with a 3 wide finish. He sent us a link to the video, which I'll put a link to in the show notes, so you guys can check that out. Just wanted to mention. Let's see. I'm not going to read the whole email here. But he's looking forward, to, of course, to the fun races. Um, he wasn't. He had just started listening, so he wasn't there for the first one. So he's looking forward to the next one. Apparently, he's saying Sunday evenings in the UK are a good time as well because we're thinking probably Saturday, Sunday evening UK, which would make it afternoon here, kind of thing, to make sure everybody can make it. But then he went on to ask a question. And he says, another question for you. In live practice sessions, as no I rating points are affected, it seems reasonably commonplace when you have made a mistake and are on the apron or recovering back on the track to get absolutely nailed by other drivers who seem to like the challenge of causing the biggest wreck possible. Is this fair game? I find it slightly annoying, but maybe I'm just taking it a little bit too seriously. Well, and I thought about that, and I thought, well, you know what? For me, when that happens, it doesn't really bother me because I've kind of crashed out. I'm just waiting for the car to come to a stop so I can reset and then just start my practice lap again. But then I thought it's like, well, that's probably because I'm not using practice sessions the way I'm supposed to be, which is to say, a lot of people will go in there and do full fuel runs and will do long runs and see how the tire wear is and see how much fuel is being used and that sort of thing. So if you're one of those people who's actually taking the practice seriously, and then somebody decides, oh look, there's a car sideways in the track. Let's see if I can make my car jump, and it ruins your last 30 lap run. Then yeah, that is kind of a tool move, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, from my perspective, I mean, when it happens to me, it doesn't bother me. But I'm usually never doing long runs. I'm just getting a feel for the track, getting a feel for kind of my turning points, my momentum, that sort of thing. So I'm only running short 5 lap runs anyway. So if I crash out, yeah, whatever, it's practice. Hey, look at me, I'm flying, type thing. What you take the practice sessions a little bit more seriously and you use them a little bit more effectively than I do. So what's your opinion on that, Chad?
I I don't know how I feel because I don't normally jump in official practices much anymore. Most of the practices that I'm in are in my leagues, so like for example the RCRL, and those guys don't do that sort of thing because it's not outlawed in the RCRL. Like you can't crash into somebody if somebody's sitting on the apron or something, but it's more of like an unofficial rule amongst the drivers, to if you see somebody crashing, you're not gonna be like, "Hey, look, let's go party," and turn left and crash into them. You
Party and
just keep,
turn one.
yeah, you just keep doing your thing, and so I don't think that I've run into this problem as much because I've just not really been around it. But at the same time, the thing that kind of does annoy me is when someone has spun out, and this I've found has happened more in official rooms than leagues, is when they sit there and they're like kind of in the way. It's not that they're in the middle of the track, but they're kind of there. And like I know that sometimes, you start pushing your button and it doesn't work for some reason, and or you haven't come to a complete stop or something like that. So I understand that, but sometimes it seems like people purposely sit there, and that is annoying because of what you said about doing like a full fuel run. Because I'm one of those people who always goes out and tries to run long runs. So that I find annoying. But there's also times where I've gotten on iRacing and me and a couple of my friends will be on there and we'll jump in a practice room and literally we're just goofing off and we're just driving around trying to crash each other. Now, we try to do it respectfully to where we're not interfering with other people in the room, but we're also doing it just to have fun because as we've talked about before, iRacing is a very serious type sim, and sometimes it's just nice to have fun, on there. So that's kind of why we do that. But um, I don't know why some people, excuse you, I don't know why some people do what he's talking about, where if you're trying to recover from a spin or you're sitting on the apron or something and they peg you. I don't know if that's just because they find it funny or what, but it does. I could definitely find that very annoying if, like, let's say that you were sitting on the apron, some other guy was like, "Hey, look, let's go hit him," and then he plows you, and I'm coming around on a fuel run, and because he hit you, he flies back out on the track, or you fly back out on the track and hit me, and that to me would be very annoying. So I wish that it was something that, I mean, you can't do this, but I wished it was policed more, to where people would not do that. But you can't do that, so that's not going to happen. But because I can see where it can be very annoying. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't think
I could
that.
also.
I'm just going to finish real quick.
Okay, finish your thought. Go.
I was just like, I can see. I agree with Chris in the sense that it can be annoying, but I also don't think that Chris is taking it too seriously because I don't. Yeah, I don't think that's too serious. I think that's just people goofing off, I guess. And I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to goof off, but sometimes other people are trying to be serious. So it could almost be a little disrespectful, maybe, depending on the situation. Okay, I'm done now. You can go.
Yeah, all I was going to say is I could see it also leading into a situation where the wrong person ends up getting yelled at as well, where you have one person, they're on the apron, and then somebody comes and plows them, and then they get back up on the track, and then somebody who's doing a serious run plows into them, and then yells at the guy who's in the middle of the track, and they had nothing to do with it. They were on the apron, and then gets yelled at. Why didn't you hold your brakes and stay off the track, you idiot? Blah blah blah. And then. Yeah, so I could see it leading to problems like that too.
Yep.
But
so yeah,
I guess the general opinion is, as Chad said, it's almost like, hey, if you're gonna have fun in a respectful way. Like if you're gonna do stuff like that, make sure it's not impacting anybody else's, not necessarily fun or enjoyment, but make sure it's not impacting their use of the sim. I mean, if you're going to be a goof and goof around, then what Chad and Greg will normally do is end up in a empty practice server and do that sort of stuff where they're not impacting anybody else actually taking it seriously at that time, just to have fun, for a little bit.
That's exactly what we do.
So be a goof, but be a goof respectfully.
Don't disrespect, man.
So
yeah.
All right. So anyway, thanks for the email, Chris. Glad to hear that you're enjoying the show, and as you put it, we're the long shows are helping you out because you travel a lot like I do as well. So apparently we do a good job of keeping you entertained on the long drives in between meetings. So hopefully we can continue to do so. And thanks for listening. Thanks for racing our car and helping to spread the word. Hopefully more people will go and grab Scott's cars as well off the. You can grab them. I think just going through Trading Paints in the showroom, you can search them out and you can use those cars if you want to. And help us spread the word of the show, or paint your own car. I don't know. Just tell people that you like the show. We want more people to listen to the show.
Yeah, we want everybody on iRacing too.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of a unique thing here. I mean, we're doing our own thing. Nobody else has a paper sign behind them that has a Snake Road thing. Come on. Unique.
Very unique.
Yes.
Now,
so there was some racing going on this week.
Yeah, how about our experiences of the week? How about you start?
Well, let's see. So I continued my trend of road racing this week. I didn't get a chance to do a Grand Touring Cup. Is that what it's called? GTC? Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Anyway, where I did the Jetta stuff. I didn't manage to get a race in on the Jetta and at Summit Point this week, but I did fill my road racing bucket. Sure. With the Integrity Racing League, I got a chance to race with those guys. I haven't had a chance to do that for a while now because I've been on the road and various reasons and whatnot. Being away from home on Fridays kind of contributes to that. So I got a chance to race with them, and they were racing at Road America. So that's the nationwide car at Road America, which I've mentioned in the past is one of my favorite road racing courses. So I got in there with those guys and did some practice, and it was again that sort of thing where, like I was talking about the big cars, you really, really, really need to brake early for corners and that I found that with the Jet, it was kind of teaching me some muscle memory, some skills that kind of helped me with getting apexes a little bit better. And with the nationwide car, same deal. I mean, you're going faster and you are heavier. Well, I don't know if you're heavier, but you're heavy because you have to brake really early for those corners. So I had a lot of fun. I mean, I practiced so I was nice and comfortable on the track before I got out there and had a blast. It was we only had 13 people join in. People are kind of scared of road racing when you're in an old racing league, and so it wasn't as big of a turnout as they normally get there. But 13 cars started. I started right at the back as my plan because that's me, nervous Nelly, when it comes to road racing and starting in the middle of the pack. Especially, I mean, that turn one, like, because I felt it's one of those things where when you're racing with those big cars that you feel like I felt that I was braking so early that I was going to get run over by everybody else if I was in the front. Because I mean, I had to brake at such a point that in order to make those turns that it's like, man, I've got to be stopping miles earlier than everybody else. As it turns out, not really, but it sure felt like it. So I didn't want to be ahead of everybody else. So anyway, so my, of course, my objective was to race a nice clean race, make sure I didn't end up getting in the way, didn't smash up my car too bad, and I was basically successful. I mean, I ended up racing around, didn't really pass. I wasn't working on passing people. I was just working on racing the racetrack, nice and clean. I was being fairly consistent, which was kind of my target as well. And that's one thing. I did stream the race, so it's available. I didn't realize it at first, but it was 50 laps, which I thought, okay, whatever, 50 laps. But it didn't really click into me that's like the full length of like the nationwide race. And I was out there racing for 2 hours. And at the end of the stream, I'm kind of commenting on, just talking about my physical status, because I mean, when I'm racing for a long period of time and concentrating on the screen, like my eyes get tired, and and I'm talking, it's like, I know it hasn't been that long, but I mean, this is sort of what I'm going through. And then I finished the race and looked at the stream and realized I'd been racing for 2 hours. Like I had no idea it had been that long. So I mentioned on the stream that I wanted to work on consistency. That was kind of more important to me. I'd rather be slow but consistently slow, because that way at least I know I'm doing the same thing lap after lap. And if I'm doing the same thing, I can get better. if I'm all over the map and every corner I'm taking differently, like every time I hit turn one, I'm braking at a different point, I'm apexing at a different point. Well, I'm not going to get better. I'm not going to learn. So I'm kind of concentrating more on the consistency part of it, and I was pretty good at that. My lap times were fairly steady, throughout the run. Um, I ended up getting a little bit off track a couple times, not too bad. Got a little bit of damage, didn't seem to affect the car, and I live, it almost like live blogged my own stupidity in one corner where I went down into, I can't remember what corner number it is, but it's the one right before you hit the carousel, which is the long sweeping turn to the right. Um, I went down there and I had too much speed to hit that corner before that, so I kind of sailed off into the grass. And as I'm going into the grass, I'm saying, okay, well, okay, I carry too much speed here, so I want to make sure that I don't, the wrong thing to do here is to just kind of try to make the corner anyway. So I let it go into the grass. I held the wheel straight so I don't spin out, and I'm explaining exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and while I'm discussing why I'm doing it, I messed it up and ended up spinning out and hitting the tires. But I was explaining why I wasn't going to do that because I had done all these things, and I did all the right things except for I just hit the gas a little bit too early at the end when I was trying to get back on the track and spun out and hit the grass, crumpled up the hood a little bit, but amazingly enough, it really didn't seem to affect the handling or the speed of the car, which I was surprised at. When I ended up having to do a pit stop after that, just a regular one, and I only had a minute 38 of optional repairs on it, which was surprising because I could read the logo on the hood. So I don't know. I thought it was worse, but in the end, ended up getting out of the way of the leaders as they came through. I think I was 3 laps down at the end of it. I probably would have only been 2 if I hadn't had my couple of offs, but ended up with a P5. And even though that was basically through attrition, and it was weird because I was kind of down on myself for the fact that I got position 5 through attrition solely. But then I thought it through. I mean, I got position 5 because I wasn't one of those people who was taken out. I managed to keep, the race smart enough that I kept my car underneath me and finished the race. So
Yeah.
I earned that position 5 by not falling by the wayside, so to speak. And for me in a road race, I mean, even though if there's only 13 cars, that's better than half the field. So I felt pretty good about that. So it was a good race. Again, Road America is such a fun course to race on. I just love that
Yeah.
course, just the flow of it, and I watched the nation, and then of course watched the nationwide race that in real life happened there, and that was a fun race. And those last few laps of that race, if you didn't watch that race, man, you missed something. That was an awesome finish to that race where Alex Tagliani ended up way at the back of the pack after leading. He had to pit, and he ended up at the back of the pack, and most of the field was on wet because the track was slightly wet, but he went on slicks, and he started 22nd with 3 laps to go, green, white checker, and ended up within like 2 car lengths of the leader and finished second. Like, it was an awesome finish to that race, and of course, and Brendan Gaughan, which is awesome to watch him win. He was so genuine and happy to win that race. But anyway, that's real life NASCAR stuff. But that was a really, really fun race to watch. And I like watching races at Road America, and I like racing races at Road America. So that was the only experience I got a chance to do last week. But it was a fun time. It's on my channel if you want to watch the stream. It's warning 2 hours. I make it through to the end, so it's not one of my short. I start a race and you can go grab a coffee and then I'll be done by the time you get back kind of thing. So
Yeah.
but I don't know. I tried to have some interesting conversations during the race, and discussing stuff and whatnot, because I try to. I'm always conscious when I'm streaming a race that there's dead air, even though they're there to watch the race, but I always feel like I have to be talking to the audience, because if I'm not, well, what's being entertained? There's no entertainment there. I mean, it's just a car going around a track. I mean, so I try to add something as much as I can, which probably ends up more me babbling. But so anyway, that was my experience for the week. I'm going to hopefully, I think they're at Silverstone this week with the Jetta race, so I'm going to try to get a race in before the end of the week on that, and I'll stream that if I can as well. and my voice is going away, so now it's Chad's turn.
Road America is a fun track. I will agree with you there. I did not get to do my road race. I think they were at Summit Point in the Global Challenge Series because I was away on vacation and did not make it back in time to do it. And then I had to go back to work, which is dumb. But anyways, so the only race that I've done since over a
Last
week
week.
ago, well, it was over a week ago now, was Monday night in the RCRL Pro Cup Series at Kentucky. And Kentucky is one of those tracks that I really like. It fits my driving style. It's kind of like the concrete, slick, loose. I tend to do very well at concrete tracks, and I tend to do well at tracks that are bumpy and tracks that, but not too bumpy, like Las Vegas. I used to really struggle there. But the tracks that are slick, where you kind of got to be sawing on the wheel kind of thing. And so I've won a couple of races at Kentucky and had a lot of good finishes. I've also had a couple of bad finishes because of wrecks that weren't my fault, but that I just got caught up in. But for the most part, I've run really well there. So I was excited to get back from my 10 days off or whatever it was from racing, and so went out there and now this became a very frustrating night, but not because of the race necessarily, but because as for those of you that have watched some of my streams, I don't run the F3 box or any of those boxes, so none of you guys when you were watching could see the timing and scoring. Well, I figured out a way to around that with my Z1 dashboard software where I could have the standings and the lap time and all, or not lap time. I always call it lap time. Lap count is what I'm really trying to say.
So the amount of laps, not the time of the laps.
Yes, exactly. So I figured out how to get that on there. Well, when I signed on Monday night, for some reason, there was a small update to the Z1 dashboard software, and it had nothing to do with iRacing. It had to do with another game because that program works with several different games, and that threw off like the whole system. And I sat there and tried to get it to work. I did it the exact same way that I've did it before, but I could not get it to work, and I don't understand why. And then it got practice opens for those races at 8:45 Eastern, so I had signed on at like 8:15, spent 20 minutes trying to get to work, couldn't get to work. And then the practice opened, so I was like, well, I got to practice because I haven't been home, so I don't have any laps. I had to get my G-forces set up on the seat, which, I mean, that only takes like 5 laps to get that, but still, I had a lot of things that I needed to accomplish, and I didn't need to be sitting there playing with getting this to work. But then it got worse. I actually went out onto the track. It was slow. Like, I was really slow, which at Kentucky was a little surprising when that first started happening, and I couldn't figure out why. Now, I kept having problems with the Z1 dashboard. I kept trying to fix it because I wanted it to work for the stream so that everybody could see all that stuff. And at one point, I have a little USB LCD screen that the Z1 dashboard shows up on, and that froze. Well, I didn't want that to freeze because even if I couldn't get it to work for you guys on the stream, then I needed to have it for my fuel so I could see how much fuel was left. So I restarted my computer, came back in, tried to mess with it all over again, tried to see if I could get it to work because, hey, maybe a restart of the computer would help fix it. And then eventually it froze again, so I had to restart my computer another time to get it to unfreeze. That's the only way I can get it to unfreeze without getting up and unplugging it from the USB port and plugging it back in. But there's 2 problems with that. Number one, I have no idea which USB it is because I have like a bazillion USBs plugged in. And number 2, I wear seatbelts, so I was already strapped in and did not feel like standing up. So I just restarted the computer. I'm lazy, but hey. I did not get to practice as much as I wanted to. And actually, I went into qualifying, and we do the open qualifying We get 10 minutes for the first round, and then if you make it in the top 10, you get to the second round for another 5 minutes. Well, I wasn't even anywhere near close to making it into the second round or the top 10. I qualified 18th out of like 23 that qualified, but there were about 28 to 30 cars in the race. So I was sort of in the back half of the field. Now, throughout all of this, I was getting frustrated because I couldn't get the thing to work. And that was making me frustrated behind the wheel, so I was not driving to the best of my abilities, I guess. And so the race started. I started in 18th, and I started the stream, and I immediately came out of the gate, saying that I was having problems, I was frustrated, and I was going to try and put all that behind me and just focus on the race. And I couldn't get the Z1 to work, so there was no timing on the stream. But I just figured, hey, it's one race, I can fix it later.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on lap 3, uh, in these races, they do realistic weather, and it seems like every single week the wind is blowing very crazy like. And when we had Ray Alfalo on the show, he was talking about how he likes that because it kind of adds more realism than anything else, because it moves the car around and you have to fight
Right.
with it because of the way the wind works, which I agree with him and I do like it. But there are certain cases where it's really screwed up. And lap 3 of my race is a perfect example. I came off turn 4, didn't really do anything to the steering wheel, didn't really do anything to the car. The car wasn't loose or tight or anything. And actually, I was perfectly comfortable with the way the car was going through that turn, and then suddenly was spinning through the infield. And it's because the wind picked up in force right at that moment, and it did it like all throughout the night to all kinds of different people. But I spun out, didn't hit anything, caution came out. Well, that made me more frustrated because I was already having a bad night. Now I started spinning out. I was slow. I couldn't figure out speed. I was playing with line and braking, and eventually figured out I didn't need to really brake, at least in 3 and 4. So I started driving up through the field very slowly, and then a car in front of me, who's a friend of mine in the series there, he came off turn 4, and the same thing happened to him. Like the wind hit him, he got really loose. He almost clobbered the fence, but he saved it. Well, he wiggled back and forth, and when he did that, I was coming up so quickly that he saved it right in front of me, and I hit him in the back of his car, square. But I really didn't think I hit him, and it happened so fast that I honestly didn't think I'd hit him that hard and that everything was fine. Well, I kept
Mm.
going. Well, a caution came out because he spun out, and he ended up wrecking. Um, and when I went down pit road, I had a minute 22 of repairs, of optional repairs, which honestly stunned me. So I went back out on the track, and everything seemed fine. The car didn't seem to have lost any speed. It didn't handle any differently. Everything seemed fine, and kept trying to drive my way through there. But I kept noticing that I just couldn't go anywhere, like as far as speed goes. And I kept thinking, it was my fault because I was driving the track wrong or something. Trevor's dying in the background here.
I
And
muted my microphone.
I know, but so like I kept thinking, maybe it's just my fault. Maybe I'm just not driving the track wrong. I mean, I was thinking the track is different, and I did not get enough time to practice to see that. Well, I ran probably between 13th to 16th most of the race, and a couple more people wrecked out, so that got me up to like 12th, maybe 11th. I did hit 10th one time, but then went backwards again. And then about 3/4 of the way through the race, I spun out again in turn 4 with the same effect with the wind, where I didn't hardly do anything and then suddenly was just spinning. But the caution didn't come out this time, so I was way behind, and I thought, well, this is the end of it. But fortunately, the caution came out like 2 laps later because somebody spun and wrecked. Not so fortunate for them, but it was for me. So at this point in the race, I don't know if I learned more about how to drive the track or if I was so frustrated with everything that was happening that I just put on my I'm going to drive this car until it dies kind of mode. But somehow I just started driving much harder, and things started clicking, and suddenly, in the last so many laps of the race, I really just started gaining positions, and I wasn't fast, but I was faster. And I went from being like 13th on one of the last few restarts to being 11th to being ninth to being 7th, and then on the last lap made a pass and got into 6th, and I was right behind the guy in 5th, but the checker flag came out. So somehow, and I even laughed at the end of the race because I was like, how in the world did that happen? I got 6th out of what should have been like a 15th to 16th place run. So I was pretty stinking happy considering everything I'd been through to get there. And I did figure out that my car was down on speed from that damage, which I did not think was very much. But in looking at the car, and I showed on the stream after the race, my front end was pretty tore up. So I was definitely down on speed on the straightaways. And I started noticing it late in the race when people would get such huge runs on me. And I was like, I know I'm not that horrible in the turns. Surely
I know
something's wrong.
I'm pushing the gas pedal down, so
Yeah. It was like, surely, and the draft isn't that big of an effect. So I started figuring out late in the race that maybe it wasn't me, that it really was the car, which made me feel better. But still, to get 6th place out of that, and you guys can watch the stream, I mean, it is pretty interesting. So I was very frustrated throughout the race until the checker flag threw, at which point I was suddenly like the happiest guy ever because I got 6th. So, yeah. Now we go to Daytona. That's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. So that's
that's either
Monday.
going to be like a really cool race that's going to last for a long time, or it's going to be one of those things where, oh, and now we're done.
Yep. Too much damage. We're done. So, but it's cool because the last 2 weeks that I've been in that series, I've gotten, in my own fault, and wrecks, or sort of wrecks, and have gotten damage that killed my straightaway speed and ran, really poorly in both races, but then gained like 8 spots in the closing stages of the races and got better finishes because I just kept sticking it out and kept trying. I got a much better finish at Kentucky than Michigan, but still, both races. So they've been tough races. They haven't been fun, but it's been worth sticking it out and trying hard. So maybe one day I'll be rewarded for that and get a really awesome finish and not have to deal with adversity.
I mean, well, okay, I was going to say a 6th place finish is a pretty awesome finish, but like you said,
Yeah.
maybe you'll just straight up just earn it and not have to fight for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting at. So we'll see. But Daytona is Monday. If you guys have nothing to do with your lives on Monday, either watch it in spectator mode on iRacing or my stream because Daytona is usually a lot of fun, and I enjoy some plate racing.
Indeed. Well, I think that about covers our experiences here, and now we're going to head into our special attraction. Is that the right phrase?
I don't know.
Special feature?
It sounds like a ride.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Roller coaster.
This week we won't be doing a car or a track of the week because we've got our interview here with teammate and friend Andy Small. So we're gonna, and that encompasses our rookie tip of the week as well. So we'll be transitioning into that, and then after we're done that, then we will come back and close out the show. And assuming I do everything right, then that'll come through on the video as well. So Chad, why don't you lead us into that while I hopefully hit all of the right buttons?
Yes, it was a very good interview. Of course, we recorded it the other day with Andy. It's pretty interesting with this pedal mod, so hopefully you guys will find it very interesting. And if you happen to have a G27 stock pedals and you want to mod them up some, you're getting ready to find out a whole lot about it. And we'll put up a link in the show notes to Andy's blog that he made up about it. And I believe on Twitter he's at Andy_small. So if you have any questions, you can find him there. Or you can just bug him on iRacing or something, and I'm sure he'll be happy to help if you want to mod something. But Now I'm going to do my lovely magical powers, and while Trevor hits all the right buttons, I'm actually going to make him disappear for this interview. It's going to be really cool. I think you guys are going to like this. So take it away, Mr. Button Man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here I am with Andy Small. Now that I've made Trevor disappear into the thin air, we can begin the interview with Andy. And appreciate you coming on here, Andy, and taking the time to talk to us a little bit about sim racing and iRacing, and maybe most importantly, your latest project, I guess, that you had there with your pedals. So welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I consider this the first step in getting rid of Trevor and replacing him with myself on the show.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how that works out. But anyways, I guess we'll kick things off with a little bit of background about you. And so, how long have you been sim racing, Mr. Andy?
I have been sim racing since about 1998, so about 16 years. Took a little bit of a break when I got married. Had more things to do in life than sim race, but I started with NASCAR 1. I picked that up in the clearance bin at Kmart when NASCAR 2 was popular. I started racing with a joystick and not much else but that. And started looking online when I got the internet. I think I got the internet that year as well, and I started looking online and saw that people actually raced online, and I thought that was pretty cool. That's actually what got me into racing as a race fan as well. Was I used to watch the races so I could learn about the tracks instead of having to learn what was going on in sim racing just by this is well before YouTube, and so you had to learn how to sim race kind of on your own.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of funny that you picked it up at Kmart. I don't know why, but it's just funny. So after that, obviously, did you play NASCAR 2003, or am I still the only person that never did?
I think you're the only person that never did. I bought NASCAR 1999 season, which had a truck expansion pack, and I raced that for a while. That was when NASCAR 3 was popular, and people were racing online with that. So I finally talked my parents into buying NASCAR 3 and started racing on. That's when I actually started racing online. Was with NASCAR 3. And so I went NASCAR 3, NASCAR 4. NASCAR 4 was the actual sim that you could start turning upside down, which was pretty cool. I remember downloading the beta, and that was at Michigan, and just flipping the car as many times as I could. And then and then NASCAR 2002 season and 2003 season, I was really active in the community during that time. I was a news reporter, moderator, and then finally a team member with Team Lightspeed, which any old school sim racers will know that was a pretty big team. But then I was a teenager and decided I want to do other things in my life, so I quit I quit Team Lightspeed and just started sim racing on my own.
Well, very nice. So, what led you to getting involved with iRacing? Obviously, that's kind of the main topic here. So, how'd you get started with that? How'd you find out about it?
I was actually a team owner in the VRW, which was the virtual racing world. That was a league started by Nim Cross, and it basically put forth the incident system. It started the incident system as we see it now. And I raced as a team owner in the VRW for a few years and kind of knew that iRacing was on the horizon, but we didn't know what it was going to be like. Then I took a break from sim racing again when I got married and saw Todd Bodine's truck at Daytona. I can't remember what year, maybe 2008. Saw iRacing on the side of it, looked it up, and started researching it. Then saw Dale Jr. was really into it at that time and started really researching it and deciding if I wanted to bring the old wheel out of storage. Finally decided that I wanted to, so I started racing. I remember downloading the package of iRacing and going into a practice session with the Spec Racer Ford at Laguna Seca. Spun out 5 times before I even got out of pit lane.
Wow. That's that's about right for first time user on iRacing. That's probably what I did.
Yeah, I knew I never raced any other cars except for stock cars in a simulation. Now, obviously, I played some other games where I raced maybe Formula One cars, but those were games; those weren't sims. And so, when I got onto iRacing, I wanted to try every other car but the stock cars, and saw how hard these cars were to drive, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to go about it. So now that you've been on iRacing for several years, what, by the way, did you mention what year you joined again? I forgot if you did.
I believe it was 2010 is when I finally joined. I just got my 4-year stars on the forum, so
Okay.
we would add in show notes when I actually joined. I believe it was May, because of the Indy 500 is when I actually joined iRacing full time. I had an account before that, decided to close it just because didn't have time in my life, and then I saw that they were doing an Indy 500 World Tour event, and that's when I actually signed up and to stay live.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. So now that you've been on there for probably 4 years, I guess now, what's one thing that you would change about iRacing if you could?
My one major frustration with iRacing is the fact that we have to wait for the official races to start. So, say I want to race a Class B, and right now it's 8:15 my time. The next race is 10:15 my time. Well, I don't want to stay up till 10:15 and then do an hour-long race. What I'd much rather do would be, if there's 20 guys that want to race, go ahead, if we all join and say we want to race, go ahead and open up the track and let us race and let it be an official race. Also, I know you said one thing, but I'm going to tell you two. I would make the website more usable. Definitely. I think that we've just kept adding things on to the website and haven't really been organizing them the way that we should. I think iRacing should hire Steve Luvender, since he's a UI UX expert, to work on usability for the site.
Yeah, that's a interesting point with the first suggestion that you made there. I've never actually ever heard anybody say that when it comes to iRacing and making the official races just go whenever there was enough people, kind of fill as you go races, so to speak. So that's actually very interesting. I'm curious to see if anybody out there listening might have a comment on that as well. But your second point there with the website, I definitely agree on, because I know that some of the people that I've referred to get on iRacing and then they've signed up, they are very confused about where certain things are on the website when they first join. After a while, I'm sure they get a little used to it, but so the website could definitely be better, like you were saying there. So that's definitely two great points that you brought up there.
Yeah, I think that I do a little bit of first-person shooter games too, and they open up a room if there's enough people to open up a room, and I think iRacing would be better served if they did that. It would just give people who want to arrive and drive a little few more options, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So, what is, to this point, your most memorable experience that you've had so far on the service?
Now, you guys have already talked about it on the show, but when I was a race engineer for you in the what turned out to be Indy 300, that was really the most fun I've ever had in the simulation, and I never turned a lap. It was so much fun working out strategy and reminding you to put in your weight jacker and things like that. That was a lot of fun. And if anyone wants to watch that race, it's on your YouTube channel, White Knight Productions, and take a look at that race, because that was a pretty fun race.
Absolutely, it was definitely a lot of fun. And again, I appreciate you doing it now that I'm talking to you on the air and not just saying it in our weekly call-out Andy section. I appreciate you doing that as well. So, what other hobbies do you do outside of iRacing?
Well, I'm a big computer geek. I really enjoy gaming. I just got back into gaming. There's a few guys I work with that are big into first person shooters, and they've kind of turned me in that direction, as well as just doing some first person shooters. I really have enjoyed Titanfall and doing some Battlefield Hardline beta. That's been a lot of fun. Basically anything to do with technology. I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to get into streaming races like you and Trevor are doing. I'm gonna go the Twitch route. You guys are going the YouTube route. So hopefully our team will have a lot of streaming.
Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna have the streaming covered once we get you rolling with some streams. So, and since we're just sitting here talking about Twitch, where can people find you on there?
They can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/simracer02. And right now, as we record this, I am streaming our recording of this live.
Yay, live, and Trevor's not here. But anyways, so now, obviously, I mentioned earlier, and we mentioned on the show that we were bringing you on to talk about your recent experience in modifying your G27 pedals from just the stock standard ones that come in the box to something a little bit different. So I want full details about all this, and I'm going to have a lot of questions to ask because I'm sure that a lot of people out there will find this very interesting, as myself and Trevor did when you talked about this in your email to us. But first and foremost, to start off with this, what gave you the idea to modify your pedals?
Well, I've always wanted to do something different with the G27 pedals. I've just never really liked how they feel. And I don't race in a cockpit, so I'm racing at my desk. And the way I'm sitting, I have to really reach for the pedals. So I've always wanted to do modifications on them. I've seen them a lot of times on the forums where people take them apart and do modifications on them, but I didn't think that that was something that I could really do. I thought that was more something that people would do that had a lot more technical knowledge than I do as far as hardware. But I thought I'll give it a shot. Did a little bit of research, found Sean Cole of the Sim Pit. He did a whole video, which we'll have in the show notes, that explain how to take apart the G27 pedal set. And I watched that video one day and saw that it wasn't that hard at all. It was actually pretty easy. So I decided that I'll give it a shot. So I took apart the base and put it, saw how hard it was to do that and left it alone for a couple days and did a little bit more research. And decided that I wanted to definitely modify it. So I looked for some spare parts I had at my house, make sure it wasn't going to break the bank if I wanted to make it, and watched the video again and decided to pull the trigger.
So, as a result of doing all of that, did well, I guess basically what I'm going to get at here, first of all, is how much expenses did you have to put into this to prepare to create what you wanted to create?
I actually decided that I didn't have to do very much as far as modifications, or as far as costs, excuse me. I knew that I had spare wood in my garage, and I knew that I had some spare tools and things like that, so I just kind of put them all together, and all I needed was the nuts and bolts, and at our local hardware store that cost me exactly $1.50.
Well, there you go. Very cheap. So, how did you change or did you, I guess, did you change the way that the pedal was angled? Because I know that I had the G27 pedals there for a while, and I know that they're kind of angled at to a certain degree. So did you change that any when you modded this?
I didn't change the actual angle. Where in Sean's video he had it sitting at an angle. I chose that I didn't really want to try the angle just because of how my desk is. So instead of doing that, I um, just raised it up. So when I sit down now, getting ready to race, I have my feet, I have my knees bent, and my position looks a lot more like you'd see in a stock car. So if you watch the in-car cameras of the NASCAR races, you see the guys and their knees are bent and their elbows are bent, and that's kind of the position I'm in now. And I'm really enjoying that position for racing. It's a lot more comfortable for me.
Well, cool. So how difficult was it to do the entire project once you got everything that you needed? And after watching Sean's videos, how much difficulty, and I guess also just to throw in another question, how long did it take you?
Well, taking apart the base of the G27 pedals didn't take very long. It was very labor intensive. There's, I think, 20 screws in there that you have to take apart, and that's what took a little bit of time, just taking all those screws out. Once you take the screws out of the base, the cover just comes right off, and the pedals are actually just free floating in there. So there's really no, once you detach the base from the cover, there's really nothing else you have to do. And as far as time, it took me probably about 3 hours. I took my time just so I made sure I didn't mess anything up because this is my only pedal set, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to explain to the wife that I had to go buy a new set of pedals.
Yeah, that's not a fun conversation. Yeah, you're kind of like me in that regard, with taking your time and making sure you do it right. When I got my Obutta cockpit, even though it's obviously very straightforward, and I wasn't really modifying a whole lot except for the pedal tray, I definitely took my time because I'm not a very I'm not very good at putting things together per se. So I wanted to make sure that I did it right, and I wanted everything to be in a certain way with the things that you could adjust. So it's definitely a good idea to take your time on things like that. So now that you've completed your pedals, I think I remember correctly, you did this a couple weeks ago, um, and you've had some time to do a little bit of racing. Uh, is it better?
It definitely is better. It's a lot more comfortable. I find myself able to modulate the brake more than I ever thought I'd be able to. I find myself using more brake, which is something I think I needed to do to begin with. So the fact that I can use the brake is a lot better. Just being able to be on the pedals more, and I think I put this in a post. I'm actually able to be more up on the wheel because I don't have to sit so far away so that I can angle my feet to the pedals. So I'm actually able to be closer to the wheel, which makes the wheel more comfortable as well.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that would be. That's good. So what's the biggest difference? Oh well, you just kind of answered that. Never mind. I guess I was going to ask you what the biggest difference is, but you've already answered that question. So I know that you made a blog post as well. Where can people find that? They can. It's has probably some pictures and stuff that they can see to get an idea of more what we're talking about here. Where can people find the blog post?
They can find it on the forums in the hardware section. There's actually a public thread in there that says my $1.50 G27 pedal mod, and I'll provide that for the show notes.
Cool. And I know that I went through and read that and thought it was a very interesting read. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring you on the show to have you talk a little bit about it. So one question that I do have that goes back a little bit more to just iRacing related things, but what's your favorite series and favorite car to race on the iRacing service out of all the ones that you've tried?
Definitely the IndyCar. I think the IndyCar is where I found my niche as far as racing. I really love the in-car adjustments, and I really love the downforce and things like that. Able to, really push the car really hard. I really enjoy the oval series for the Indy cars. Open setups are really, really hard if you don't have a team. behind you that can help you build setups. But if you do have a team, it definitely makes it a fun series to race in. Other than that, I really love the NASCAR iRacing series. I think that's a really cool concept that they've done, and I'm glad that they started it. I really hope that they continue to move forward with that iRacing series and maybe branch out to Indy cars and have it where it's, it follows the schedule kind of the same way. I think they are planning that. I think they put that in the forums, that they're going to do that.
Yeah, it would be cool. I kind of wish that they would do it with just about all the series, to be honest, because, I mean, just for the fun of it even, because that's pretty cool following, because that's one of the things I think a lot of people enjoy doing is following the real schedule of whatever series, whether it be F1 or IndyCar or NASCAR, it doesn't matter. It just, it kind of gives you that extra feeling of being a real race car driver, even though we're still sim racing. And I definitely think and I know a lot of leagues are doing that as well, so I think that's a cool feature that iRacing has addressed and have put into their sim.
Absolutely. I know the IndyCar would be a little bit hard because there's a lot of street circuits, and those street circuits take a lot of system resources to even get running. So I understand that it would be more of a challenge for the sim for IndyCars, but I really hope that they can do something like that. If nothing else, if anyone from iRacing is listening, give us a combined series. Give us a road and oval where we alternate 6 weeks road, 6 weeks oval. That would go over so well in the community, and it would really be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully somebody from iRacing is listening, because that would be awesome, and it all for totally different reasons than what you're saying. But anyways, so as we mentioned on the show there at the beginning there, we are going to let you give a rookie tip of the week, because, Trevor and I are lazy and we didn't want to provide one this week, so we're going to leave that up to you. So what is something that you feel like that you've learned throughout your 4 or so years on the iRacing service that would be good for someone that's new, or even somebody that's been there for the same amount of time as you, that they might should know that you've come up with?
My main piece of advice for if I was going to mentor anyone that was a new iRacer, I would tell them make sure you race. A lot of times you'll see people give advice, well, don't race until you can make so many laps with being consistent, and don't race until you've done so many practice laps, and I think that turns people away. And I also think that when you're racing, you learn different things than you do just running by yourself. You learn how to, do racecraft and how to be around traffic and how to deal with wrecks in front of you and all these things that you don't learn when you're practicing by yourself. So I don't subscribe to the notion that you should race or you should test all by yourself until you get the perfect fuel run. Go out there, make mistakes. The safety rating system is in there for a reason, and once you see your safety rating drop, you're going to start to make different choices in your sim racing. So don't take what you think is going to be a hard, don't think that racing is going to be hard. It's not that hard, and it'll actually make you a better sim racer if you actually get into the official races.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I can also add a little to that when I was new to iRacing, I did spend a lot of time in time trials, but I kind of treated time trials more so as a practice session, because safety rating is in effect, so you still have to be really clean, but also, I was on the track, I was learning the track, but then to kind of go with what you were saying there about racing, I would go into races and I would do the races, and I would not qualify on purpose, and I would start in the rear, and I would basically race in the rear until, unless it was a track or a car combination that I felt comfortable enough at to go up and start challenging for positions. And I feel like doing that, and kind of hanging out the back and just taking it easy and progressing my skill and doing exactly what you just said and just racing and watching my safety rating go down and trying to do things to, make it go up. I believe that helped me a lot over the long run. So I think that's an excellent rookie tip there, Mr. Andy.
Well, thanks. And I think that, I come from very old school sim racing where you would race in a league and there was no official racing. In NASCAR 2003 and before, there was no official races. You had to join a league. And these leagues were pretty strict and there was no safety rating. So, if you brought out a couple cautions in a race, people kind of thought, oh, this is not someone we want to race with. Where now you can look at someone's safety rating and see where they're at. And I use my safety rating as a guidepost. I don't really care about my I rating. I mean, it's so low, it doesn't really matter anyway, but I use my safety rating as a guidepost to see if I'm doing what I should be doing on the track. And last year, I actually lost my A license in oval because I raced too aggressively. I was trying to get my I rating up and raced until I came through and realized that I didn't have to have a high I rating to have fun in iRacing, and I've let my safety rating build back up from here on. So yeah, any rookies listening, just race, and enjoy yourself, and don't get frustrated. I know it's easier said than done, but don't get frustrated.
Absolutely. That is a great point to drive home. So that's all the questions that I have, and obviously Trevor's not here to say anything, so do you have any final thoughts before I somehow magically make Trevor reappear on the show?
I would just say that I think you guys do a really good service for the community, and I thank you for it. When Trevor started the podcast all those years ago, it was a godsend to me just to listen to him and talking about iRacing, and now that you've joined the show, I think it's great. So keep up the good work.
Why, thank you, and I'm sure Trevor would also be appreciative of that as well. And once again, we both thank you for coming on and taking the time out of your night to record this with us, and hopefully everybody enjoys the pedal modding that you did, and maybe even some people out there with G27 pedals or even other pedals might explore the modifying world of them and see what they can come up with. So I appreciate that, and I know that several people out there will appreciate it as well.
Thanks, Chad.
Yep, thank you. And now we will return to me bringing Trevor back from the dead.
And here I am back from the dead. There we go. I'm back now. Okay. And hopefully I have Chad back here with me as well here after I've hit all of the right buttons. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, not too bad. I mean, as far as doing, all the weird button presses and whatnot, I only have one little minor glitch in the middle where the interview decided to pause for about 5 seconds for no particular reason. But other than that, great. But great interview there with Andy. Unfortunately, I wish I could have been there to talk to him about that as well. But like I mentioned, I was under the weather, and I'm on the recovery now. I was in really rough shape when you guys recorded that, so there was no way that I would have been able to actively participate in a way other than just hacking and coughing and being distracted in the background.
Yeah, it was definitely a good interview, and excuse me, do appreciate Andy taking the time out to do that, although it sounded like he was still doing the dishes at the end there. Yeah,
I wasn't too sure. I'm sitting there listening to the interview. It's like man, you could have waited, man. It was only like a half hour. I mean, I'm sure you're busy, but I mean, It's like, no, man. I'm on those pedals, and I got to dry these dishes, man, and I'm.
Chores are chores.
I was gonna say one thing that I've noticed since I was off video for a while there, and while the interview was going and whatnot, that I've now actually added in something that iRacing has been unable to add in to the sim so far. Is I have a realistic day-night cycle going on with my video because the light bulbs that are right above my head are actually burnt out, so I only have the lights from across the room and the light coming in from the window. So as it's been getting darker, I've noticed like my video is actually getting darker and darker, so I actually have a day-night cycle going. I don't know if that makes the video go faster, but because the microphone temperature is cooling down, so
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I've noticed that there's been times where you've been sitting in the dark, then suddenly it gets really light, so I didn't know if like angels were present or what was going on, and then suddenly you get dark again. So
Well, I'm
I'm glad
guessing
that you
it's probably
explained that.
clouds going over, because, like I said, most of the light is actually coming from the window beside me, because I only have lights, like two out of six light bulbs in this room. Only two of them are currently going, and they're on the other side of the room. So I've got to
Mm.
kind of do some home maintenance here. I think after I guess I do the dishes, because I mean Andy set the
Yeah,
precedent for that. So,
dishes come first,
but
man.
but that was, like I said, thanks to Andy for taking time, and for you, Chad, for taking care of that. And hopefully everybody enjoyed that and got some got a rookie tip out of that, got some information out of Andy. Like I said, teammate of ours, friend of ours. I've joked in the past that I think he's like the original fan of the podcast. He was like one of the first guys that I ever interacted with once I had the show going, and kind of kept that friendship going throughout the years. So known Andy for many, many years, never met him. And it was one of those things where, heck, I've only met Chad face to face once, but
Yeah.
but anyway, I think that's a pretty full show for us here. And I was off dying in the corner while the interview was going and coughing and hacking. And before that starts up again, I think that'll about do it for this week. A big thanks to all of you out there for listening. Remember, the show is available for download on iTunes and Zune under your podcast sections, and we'd really appreciate it if you head over to iTunes and give us a review to help us get the word out. Voice is croaking up on me here. The show is also available on YouTube, live on show nights. We'll tweet out when the show's actually going to go live. We try to do it on Thursdays around 9:30 Eastern, but that varies depending on schedules. But we'll always tweet about it, let you know when we're going live, so you guys can watch us. Or, of course, then it just gets archived, and you can watch it on my channel over at Ratface Productions, or it's mirrored over on Chad's channel over at White Knight Productions. You can check out the website for information, archives, links, and the polls we mentioned on the show over at iRacingTodayRadio.com. You can follow show news through Facebook at facebook.com/iRacingTodayRadio, and Twitter at twitter.com/iRacingToday for myself, and twitter.com/It'sChadillac for Mr. Chad.
And please email any questions, comments, and poll suggestions that you may have to feedback at iRacingTodayRadio.com. And, of course, feel free to add myself and Trevor as friends on the iRacing.com members website. Had a friend request before we went live, so keep them coming. But until next week.
I wonder if I had one too. I never checked.
Oh, but until next week, ladies and gentlemen, remember that the race is very rarely won in the first turn.
But it is often lost there. Good night, everybody.